Hello.
Hello, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It is a new year.
Yes.
2024.
There's going to be a lot happening in 2024.
There is. There
I
is.
um I am starting off the new year getting over a cold.
Oh no.
So like I have vacation from the 25th through the 2nd,
Hmm.
and I was fine all the way up to the day before New Year's.
Capitalism made you sick. It was like your body was like, I do not want to go back to work.
Like I do not want to get back into whatever's going to happen, and so you're just going to get sick right now.
Yeah.
So I'm like, if I sound a little hoarse, I think I sound sexy. But if I sound a little hoarse and congested, that's why. I
You
don't
said if
like I don't like the sound of my voice in normal mode, but when I'm sick, I think I sound hella sexy.
you're like, if I sound like the quiet storm, don't
Yeah.
even worry about it.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to TH Sunday Shift.
Well, with that, we are so happy to be back. Make sure if you are watching on YouTube, you like, subscribe, share, leave us a comment.
Hmm.
And if you are listening, we really appreciate you. So make sure that you like and um, leave us a comment there as well.
Yeah, baby.
Um, I am settling back into being in California. I was in Wisconsin with family, all babies. Oh, I had so much good like
And
baby
how did you come
snuggling.
away from that healthy?
Lots of vitamin C,
Okay.
overdoses of vitamin C. I was really surprised too because my
Mhm,
nephew is perpetually congested. I'm like,
mhm,
baby, oh. But it was just so much good snuggle time.
mhm.
It was exactly what I needed. I didn't really do anything else but snuggle with the babies, and it was everything I needed. It was healing.
Nice. I did bike riding.
Okay.
I like to look for houses that are decorated for Christmas,
Mm-hmm.
and we did a couple of sponsored rides in the area where I work in West Oakland. We rode through the neighborhood of West Oakland and ended up in Jack London to see the large Christmas tree. And then I
Okay.
went on a random ride in East Oakland with people who were actually, I went on a ride with a bunch of boys, six dudes, and I was the only girl. And
Mm-hmm.
they were all born and raised in deep East Oakland. So they knew the spots to go to. And we actually rode upon a house that was doing fireworks. And they gave me the lowdown of why people do fireworks and when. And I'm not going to say it because in case there's some cops that are watching our show.
Well, I don't think any cops are watching us, but I hear you. You told me offline.
And but it was fun because I got to ride. We rode up on some people actually doing fireworks, and it was kind of like a cool shot. Like I was
Mm-hmm.
riding my bike and I was had my camera and just slowly seeing, looking at the decorated houses on one side and heading straight to another house, fully decorated, shooting off fireworks. It was actually a really cool shot.
That's really funny.
So I had a cool night. That was how I spent my Christmas Eve. And then I spent the next couple of days, I bought my grandmother an Apple Watch and just trying to teach her
Oh.
how to use the watch over the phone.
Mm-hmm.
She was like, I can't use my watch because I don't know how to charge it. And I was like, do you have a charger? She's like, I don't know. So I had to take a picture of the charger and show her how to use it. It was comedy. The simplest things that we as generation X and younger take for granted.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah,
they just find so complicated. It's fun.
for sure. I mean, I feel like a boomer when it comes to TikTok. I'm like, teach me the TikToks, baby.
I'm like
Uh,
that about Canva. For some reason, I can't get Canva.
okay.
I don't understand how to use it. But people apparently use it on their phone and come up with some great images. I'm like, I don't know how y'all do that.
I don't know if they're great, but I know how to use Canva. So
Yeah,
I'll hook you up.
thanks, appreciate that.
Um, So we have so much to talk about in Port
So much
Charles.
happened.
We'll probably focus like on this week, but like some
Okay.
stuff that if, it comes up,
Yeah.
it'll come up. You ready for the recap? I just did some bullet points because I just want to like dig into like the stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here are our bullet points for the recap. We start the week on a very somber note, finding out that Bobby Spencer died in her sleep in Amsterdam. The SEC secret is finally exposed, and the fallout is falling out.
It's falling.
It's falling out. Lois and Olivia, Michael and Willow, Sunny and Nina, Sunny and Cyrus, and more to come.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of, Cyrus beat up Sunny, or
Sunny.
Sunny beat up Cyrus half to death in a church
Mm-hmm.
and eventually was arrested by Dante. Esme and her memory are back. Laura realized she broke into Windermere because of a glove.
Mm-hmm.
Nicholas is also back in town and wants to scheme with Ava to take Esme down. Scott and Lucy try to scheme, that's a word again, scheme,
Scheme.
against Tracy, but Tracy figured it out and gave me one of my new reaction pictures. When Tracy
Mm.
found out, it was delicious.
It was on.
Felicia got the DNA test for Cody and Mac, your fave.
Mm.
Um, Joss and Dex are getting in deeper with whatever is going on with Adam. Don't care. And Curtis is getting closer to his surgery that might help him walk again. And this is actually, Adam is actually the thing that makes me care about something less than that story.
Mhm.
So that's like, that was like most of the week. We also had a primetime special that we'll probably talk about in hot takes.
Mhm.
How did you feel? How did you feel about the week? How did you feel about the time that we were gone? Tell me, tell me, tell me. What was
Oh
your
my
favorite
God, I
moment?
felt like the week was like I was swept this week. And
Mm-hmm.
I was unexpectedly swept. And I guess um I don't know. It kind of happened the way that I wanted it to happen, except
Mm-hmm.
not the whole town wasn't there, the big reveal, but
Mm-hmm.
everyone was in a room. It wasn't like one at a time. Everyone who mattered was in the room during the big,
Right.
SOC reveal. Um, and there were some surprises, and definitely with the GH60 anniversary event, I was surprised. And I know we feel some kind of way. Oh, Steve Burton.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm actually excited about the implications of Jason's return for a reason that you guys might be shocked because I'm thinking he might be behind some of the stuff that's happening with Ava, but we'll talk about it. Um,
Ooh,
yeah. So
okay.
I think so that makes it a little exciting for me. Um, but I was definitely entertained this week. And I actually enjoyed some of the stuff that happened on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I loved GH for at least the past 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm. I've also been really entertained. Something that happened when we were gone was the Vanna
Hmm.
breakup.
Yeah.
Oh my God, it broke my heart. Because
Yeah.
that first breakup was like, ugh, but that second one was so lovely. It was such
Hmm.
a good, I think, representation of what like Finola Hughes and James Patrick Stewart bring to those characters.
Hmm.
And literally teared up. I was like,
Yeah,
oh my God.
it was an example of an adult, responsible breakup that you rarely see. Ooh, I'm the host now. Is it being recorded? I don't know. But for those, if it is still being recorded, It is still recording. I'm gonna pause because we lost Tracy, and then we'll come right back. Okay.
Right. So we'll see if I have enough tech savvy to try to fix this, but if I don't, my
We're
computer
back.
died in the in the middle of us talking. My computer was like, I'm not used to recording for the new year. New year, new me. Anyway, so
What
kind
were
of
we
the last
talking?
thing I was saying, the last thing I was saying was that the Vanna breakup broke my heart. Um,
Mhm. Oh yeah, and I was saying that it was like an example of a really mature relationship that we rarely see nowadays. I mean, like they had closure, they said goodbye, and it was sad, and almost was like, in my mind, I'm like, there's still a possibility they could get back
oh
together,
yes,
but right now they just can't be together. And so, yeah, so I was like, as far as my mind, this is not the end of Vanna, but it's the end of Vanna for now.
the door is open.
Yeah, the door is
It's
open,
cracked.
cracked.
Um, I will say one of my favorite moments, and we'll get into like really the amazing performances when you do performance of the week.
Yeah.
But one of my favorite line readings was Laura Wright as Carly talking to Nina when she asked her like, "Why would you come over here?" or whatever, and then
Yeah,
she
why
was
are
like,
you?
"Oh, you got busted." Like
Yes, that's why I usually. She was like, "Why now? Why are you talking about this now?" And it was like, "Oh, because you got busted." That was,
it
I. That was amazing.
the line reading of it was so good. It was so petty. It was
Mm-hmm.
just like everything that I needed it to be. And it's so interesting with Nina and Carly. I mean, I know that we're gonna,
Mm-hmm.
but I think what bothers me the most about Nina's character is the like entitlement of this character.
Yeah.
And this like idea that you're supposed to be forgiven. So like everybody's like, oh well, Drew and Carly committed a crime. Port Charles and General Hospital has always been the soap that
Mm-hmm.
had the most crime element.
Mm-hmm.
That actually has always been about rooting for the mobsters over the good guys, or supposed like traditional good guys,
Mm-hmm.
and like the complicatedness when those things mix. So what happens when Sunny has to help the police? What happens when like Anna has like this relationship with Sunny, or that she's married to Duke, or whatever it is? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's always been the point of the show over any other ABC soap. And so, like, this idea around right and wrong being defined through like what was legal just never has made sense to me. Like, the point has never been, did they commit a crime? The point is, you, Nina, married to my boss, snitched on my boss's family.
Mm-hmm.
And so like it just gets so frustrating when it's like, oh, she committed a crime, she didn't commit a crime, they committed a crime. Why are people treating like what she did worse than a crime? Because in the world of Port Charles, it actually has always been worse to snitch than
Yes.
it has been to be a criminal.
That's true.
And to pretend like there was some big egregious crime with Carly and Drew didn't gain any money, it just never made sense to me, and I'll talk a little bit more about it. Let's get into performer of the week. Let's get into that because I want to hear what you have to say about that.
Yeah. I want to give it to Laura Wright, because of, obviously righteous anger of Renina, but also because, this is going to be an opportunity, if you're taking a kind of a cynical look at this, an opportunity for her as an actress to shine given the circumstances, and she really is, doing it. That scene, where she gets off the phone and Drew's like, "What's wrong?" and she's like, "My mom's dead." Oh my God, my eyes just started tearing up just right then and there. The way that she's trying to process the death of her mom, really strong scenes. Scenes where she had with Cynthia Watros. Actually, I want to give props to both Cameron Matheson, Cynthia Watros, and Laura Wright for that scene because that was just amazing. I think Nina's being Nina and Cynthia Watros is doing it really well. Right? Cameron Matheson and his anger, that was amazing. And the funny thing is I saw a post on General Hospital fans on Facebook where people were like, Ryan went too far. And I was like, no, he didn't. I mean,
Ryan.
he was no, I'm sorry. Drew Ryan Lavery, Drew Lavery. Drew did not go too far. I think he has the most right to be pissed off at Nina because he did nothing to Nina. And he was basically the one that caught the fallout for all of it. And they were talking about this week how rough a year he's had. And this, him not being able to express how he feels about this his whole year and having a reason, having somebody to actually point to, I felt like it must have been cathartic for him because it was cathartic for me to have him yell at her. So I was like, yes, go after her ass, call her out. Because yeah, she seems to only care about her children when she finds out that they're her children. And then
That
she's like,
was
that was so true.
that was a
Like
line.
it was,
That was a
that was a
line.
line. And yeah, so he read her ragged and I loved every part of it. And you
I
rarely go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
Um, I so I will say that Drew's transformation is one of the things that is not working for me, to be quite honest.
Hmm.
But I don't think that he went too like I was kind of shocked when he was like, if I were a man, I was like, whoa, it kind of like put me off, but not to the point. Like I was seeing people like saying that it was too far and it was abusive women and Kristen Dan should be fired. This was like, so let me also say this that typically I don't really engage in, I try not to engage in self Twitter. A lot of times what I don't want to do is
Hmm.
get on this show and like be responding to conversations I don't even have online. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? Like I don't do soap Twitter. Like I will browse soap Facebook, but I wanted to like know how people felt about Jason's return.
Hmm.
So I
I
ended
saw
up,
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
so I ended up like browsing a lot of soap media. Like I browsed a lot of the YouTube comments and I browsed a lot of like the fake, whatever. And one of the things I was seeing, and this is like my soapbox, but like one of the things I was seeing is that Twitter has such a different opinion, or soap Twitter has
Hmm.
such a different opinion than anywhere else on the internet. And I
Hmm.
think it's important, even when you think about just anything, this is not like an indictment, but anytime like soap Twitter in itself is like a community.
Hmm.
And it is in any time you tweet about something. So like for example, I'm a fan of like the show All American, but I'm not a part of All American Twitter. So
Hmm.
I will see some of the stuff that happens on All American Twitter that comes up in my For You just because whatever the algorithm is doing. And I'll be like, woo, they wilding over there. Like, what's
Hmm.
going on? And so I think a lot of that same thing happens with soap Twitter, where it's like, soap Twitter is not simply you are a soap fan who happens to have Twitter. Because
Right.
before we started engaging in this show, like I follow General Hospital, I followed Laura Wright. I think, like people like that, just that I like engaged with before I was like at all engaged and like talking about the show the way that we do. And so I think that people who like have regular conversation about the show get really caught up in believing that their opinion is the same as like normie people who are not talking to each other all the time about the show. So
Hmm.
like I do think it's really it was interesting to me to like see specifically around Jason's return like kind of what the most liked comments on soap Twitter were versus like what was being said anywhere else. Where soap Twitter, you could get like 500 likes, and you get on Facebook and you're getting in the thousands. And like, what does that mean about like the audiences? So I
Hmm.
thought that was interesting. And to your point about Drew going too far, I think that that sentiment was so much stronger on Twitter.
Mhm.
Um, that it was just like really fascinating to me.
Yeah,
Um,
I think I actually saw that comment on Facebook, but the people who responded to that comment was like, "No, he didn't. He was
yeah,
actually just right." And so it may
yeah,
have been like a swope Twitter person going on Facebook thinking they can get a whole bunch of agreement, and they were wrong. But I was just like,
yeah,
"Yeah, I didn't feel that way about his response to Nina."
yeah.
But I do feel that, and we could talk a little bit more later about why you don't like it, but I the why it's not working for you. But for me, I actually
Hmm.
kind of like it, but I also see a pattern to it, and this is another thing about the whole Jason theory that I want to get into you with about. But um, I one of my hot takes was like, ooh, angry Drew is kind of hot, because I think right when Cameron Matheson plays angry, I think he's hot. And even when I didn't like it when Ryan Lavery got angry, because when Ryan Lavery got angry, he was very self-righteous about it, and he was a flawed character. But
Hmm.
Drew is not as flawed as Ryan Lavery is, but in either case, Cameron Matheson being a little aggressive was hot to me. So that was my I was just like, ooh.
Ryan, you're so funny.
I was like, love it. So, but yes, I do think like he was definitely wrong when it came to Sam and little girl going to private school, but I still thought it was
Oh,
hot. I was just
I
like,
was not here for it. I said,
right.
Drew Lavery, you better sit your ass down and not talk to my girl like that.
Right.
Um,
But in
I
any
will
case, just to
say,
sum up the whole, performances, Cameron Matheson, Laura Wright, and Cynthia Watros get the top performances for me this week.
yeah. Um, yes, that's great. I think that
Yeah.
Laura Wright was amazing.
Yes. Yes.
I think that it was like so clear that she put so much of her own like
Mhm.
she loved Jackie. Like you
Right.
could tell everyone on set loved Jackie. And
Hmm.
so we were able to see, her performance being just so nuanced as a person who's grieved a parent.
Hmm.
I saw so much of like myself in that.
Hmm.
I was like, oh my God, it was so real and so raw. And I was like, oh, you can tell Laura wants to do right by Jackie.
Yeah,
Um,
especially that part where she was saying like, I wish I could have been on the
yeah.
phone with her longer, or I'm like trying that's what happened with me. I lost my mom, I think it's going on 5 years now. And that was my one of my thoughts was, oh my God, what was the last thing I said to her? Was I too short with her? I really wish I could have had more time with her on the phone. And that
Mhm,
really was like, and I'm just wondering if there's a lot of people who've lost a parent have felt that way. Like I
mhm.
think I kept my mom's last voicemail on my old phone just
Yeah,
like so I can hear it over and over again.
yeah,
Yeah, so it really like she really hit some good points for me,
yeah.
I think.
Yeah, my mom is here, and God willing, she will be here for a very
Hmm.
long time. I want her
Yeah.
to live forever. But
Hmm.
I lost my father,
Hmm.
and it was it resonated. Like for me, I was anyway, I'm not even gonna get into it because it'll be too much. But I'm like, oops, like starting to tear up now.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think that anyone who's lost a parent
Hmm.
um, could resonate with that, and I think that that is something that was really beautiful in her performance.
Hmm.
I also want to give it to um, Christina Wagner and Finola Hughes. I feel like the
Hmm.
scene that they had in Bobby's office was so beautiful. Just, I mean, the history, and it's really difficult to express history in one scene. And
Yeah.
they were able to do it. You
Hmm.
knew the love that they had for her based in that one scene. And
Hmm.
so I just want to give it up to them. Gorgeous, gorgeous work. Um, the same thing, Lucy, when she found out, um, her and Ken as
And
Lucy
Laura.
and as and Scott, and
Hmm.
then Jeannie Francis as Laura.
Hmm.
Um, I think that, Kevin Collins being kind of the rock to them,
Mm-hmm.
it just was like really beautiful work all the way around
Mm-hmm.
for all of these characters. And like I said, it's just so clear that they want to do right by Bobby, and for me, they definitely are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. I don't know if I actually talked about my favorite moment.
Oh, tell me, what was your favorite moment?
There, well, this actually was during Christmas. I think there
Okay.
was a scene that Nicholas Chavez had with little Ace,
Oh,
and they were
yeah.
together, and I was like, oh my God, they're so adorable together. Um, yeah, that was like an awesome scene for me.
Mhm.
Another powerful scene was the fight between Lois and Olivia. Because they were like so like buddy buddy and happy and wonderful together, and then Tracy puts in a little niglet of
Doubt. Yeah.
controversy
Yeah.
into it by saying, "Hey, have you ever talked to, Lois about taking her husband?" you know? And then,
Yeah.
and then it just kind of all blew up when Lois tells the secret. And I'm glad it was Lois who did
Me too. I loved it.
it. I love the drama of it. I mean, Olivia and Lois looked amazing in their New Year's Eve dress. I'm more
Hmm.
partial to Lois's dress, but yes, Olivia was hot in her red dress. But I thought that scene was very powerful for them, and so those were good scenes for
Hmm.
them. Um, Other favorite moments that I have, I enjoyed the scenes between Willow and Michael and Will.
Yep. Hmm. I agree.
They had
Yeah.
some great points. So yeah, there's a lot of good stuff that happened with the coming out of that SOC secret that you
Hmm.
wouldn't actually think was part of it. I did not expect Olivia and Lois to get into it about that.
Hmm. But
And
I think that that's like the beauty of when you have these big stories that have been building for so long.
mm-hmm,
Like, if we're gonna have fallout, we need real freaking fallout. Like, let's
real,
not play
yeah.
around and not have. Sorry, my light is acting stupid.
Oh yeah.
But like, let's not play around. If we're gonna have fallout, let's fall out.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and
Yeah.
I think that that's right, and it comes, like you said, from really unexpected places. Like, to get into like what's working, the Milo fight actually really worked for me.
Oh
i've
yeah.
i've always found them to be kind of boring as a couple,
Mm-hmm.
like a little too, like, I don't know, just like not soapy enough. Like, I feel like Chalene occupies like this very rom-com kind of couple for me.
Yeah.
And so that works. But for Milo, it just never hit. And I
Mm-hmm.
think it's because they never really had real conflict. They never had real fallout from the things that have happened between the two of them. So to have something be so clear as like neither one of y'all are 100% in the right. Like, I do believe that Michael should have told Willow.
Right.
Um, I think, just like I said, when Carly found out that Nina was her mom, Willow deserved to know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but in the grand scheme, like, to bring back, like, look, I thought you was about to die, so I never really got a chance to tell you that I was salty that you didn't tell me about your cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
When he said that, I was
I
like,
said,
ooh. I was like, ooh, low blow. But then I was like, he right though.
I gasped. I
Yes.
gasped. I said,
I was like,
Michael.
I was like, that was low, but then you kind of right. So I don't know. So
Yeah,
yeah, it was like, yeah, that was a big I bet we all gasped. We were like,
yeah, yes. I found it to be compelling. I was like actually invested in the argument,
mm-hmm,
wanted to know what was going to happen next. I've always been and concerned about, and I've like voiced concern about Willow and like her position on the show, which is that if her and Michael were to break up, for example, who would be on Willow's side? Like, who would
mm-hmm,
be there for her that's not attached to Michael? And so
mm-hmm,
I'm interested to see what happens next for them. If, like, because she's mad at Michael, she is able to forgive Nina, or like if helping him grieve Bobby like brings them back together. I'm just really interested to see what happens next with them, and I don't think I've ever said that about that couple.
Yeah. And then I think, yeah, you're right. The fallout of Bobby being gone and who does Willow naturally turn to is going to be an interesting question because before Bobby died, my first thought would be Willow would be either going to Carly or they running into each other and commiserating together because they had bonded before they bonded while Willow was in the hospital, and so then I'm thinking Willow would go to her second mother, but then also I was thinking Sasha, but now Sasha is hanging out with Nina, so Willow probably might not feel safe there. So
Yeah.
who does Willow feel safe with? Outside of the Corinthos family and then outside of her friendship with Sasha.
Right.
The
And it's like
hospital?
maybe Chase, like
Yeah.
they've always had a friendship, but like, you don't want to like overstep with Brooklyn.
Brooklyn, right?
But yeah, so maybe the hospital, maybe we end up
Hmm.
seeing her become friends with Liz.
Yeah.
I've always thought it'd be interesting to have a Willow Sam friendship, even
Hmm.
though Sam is like so clearly like such a Michael person. We
Yeah.
didn't they don't show that as much. I think that we did get that during the wedding,
Hmm.
because of their history. But yeah, I am really interested to see like who Willow, is able to turn to, and if this is a turning point for her character to be able to find somebody to turn to.
Hmm. Yeah. And then another interesting thing
Mhm.
that happened, Nina was over at Sasha's. Nina was trying to think, talk about who would be on her side, and she was like, "I know Christina's gonna come at me left," and we're like, "Really?" Because she didn't when you snuck off with Sunny. So why
Mhm.
why would you think she'll turn on you now? She was the only one that was your friend, and now she really thinks that Christina's gonna go after her. So I think that might be an interesting thing if Willow and Christina start actually have a relationship because they don't really have one right now.
Right, and they should.
Mm-hmm.
You know, here's the thing. Let me get into my Nina thing.
Right.
And
Go ahead.
it's not only her, it's like I'm so confused about the protection of her from her fan base. It's
Mm,
like anytime somebody comes up against her, like I see, and again, this is something I wouldn't always normally see because I'm not on social media like that, but I happen to be. So it was almost, I was like stunned. Like they were like mad at Lois. I saw a tweet that called Lois like a stranger to Sunday. I was like,
uh,
that,
y'all,
I don't
were
think
y'all
that's
just
true.
started watching that show?
Right. Like it makes perfect sense. Like it feels like so weird that when people who actually rightfully have smoke for Nina,
Hmm.
or who like align against her, like all of a sudden that person becomes an enemy, or all of a sudden it's the writers are forcing people to be mean to Nina.
Hmm.
I think it's really worth saying that Nina had a lot of support when she got back from Nixon Falls.
Yeah.
And to be quite honest, the only like Nina has never been like a heroine type of character. I think there might have been thought that she might be when Cynthia was like recast in the role,
Hmm.
because the only time Nina's ever been, I think, rootable is that time in between. And I never rooted for her because I remember her history, but like
Hmm.
that time between when she exposed Valentine, because it was like people were kind of rooting for her. Like, okay, yeah,
Hmm.
he did do you wrong, girl, to do it. And
Hmm.
then she got with Jax. And so getting with Jax like put her in a different position. Um, but then after that, she just like reverted back. Like these are not. This is her behavior. Somebody I saw posted when she was like gonna assault Silas to get pregnant by him. Like
Hmm.
this is how this character was introduced. Like Sam talking about, yeah, I've always had her number. Like, yeah, like Sam and Nina have a very, very fraught history, to the point that it was like weird that they even tried to make Sam spend a holiday with this woman.
Right.
Like it's always been, and it's also never been resolved history. Because people like to throw back Carly's history, for example, or anybody else's. We've lived with the character of Carly for decades. We've lived with the character of Maxie for decades. Like these people who have done things that are kind of unforgivable, but we've forgiven them, is because we've lived with them for such a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had like ebbs and flows of comeuppance, even
Mm-hmm.
though despite people saying that Carly doesn't get comeuppance, but like,
This whole
like
arc is her comeuppance.
right. It's just like I really, and so it does show me like this really interesting, like Nina is always the victim
Mm-hmm.
and Carly is always like to there's a section of people that she's always kind of like never going to be anything but who Sarah Brown was when she came into town.
Right.
Um and so it's kind of interesting to see like that dynamic where because Carly, held her head up high while she was going through some of the worst times of her life, all of a sudden that means that she didn't have a comeuppance. And Nina goes back and forth within a frame of being like a victim versus not, and then all of a sudden, like everybody is after her when she has support.
Mm-hmm.
She is not a pariah to everybody. She is a pariah. Like she's a pariah to Sunny's family for what she did to Sunny's family consistently
Rightfully so.
and rightfully so.
Right.
And so I don't know, it just feels like there's like a subsection of the audience. It's like anytime Carly is mad with somebody, then all of a sudden that is like being forced by the writers to be the thing. And it's like that's not true. It's just like with even, I mean, and we'll, but with Drew and like yelling at Nina, this was actually like showing that Drew was a little bit out of control,
Mm-hmm.
that he's changed. So like he yelled at Nina, he wouldn't yell at Sam. So it's not that he was in the right for what he said to Nina, or like that wasn't what was being pushed. What was being pushed is this change in his personality. So I don't know. I don't How do you feel about this? Like how do you feel about I just feel like Nina's such a protected, or like I don't know. There feels like such a weird protection of her
By the
um
fans.
by the fans that feels so
Yeah.
awkward.
I don't know, maybe it's because we don't understand it. Because I just like maybe that's why it's weird and awkward because we're just like I don't get it.
Yeah.
Um but like people are fans of people and you just don't understand, you don't get it because you don't agree with it. Like, I will never understand why people like Cody, but they do. I'm just gonna let it go with it. Like I'm not gonna be like, okay, I guess. And the same way with Nina. Even though actually I'm a fan of Cynthia Watros, um, and I think, but I don't like the character of Nina in the same way that I do like Carly or even Ava.
Hmm.
People who are clearly flawed people, but I still love them
Hmm.
and I take joy in all of their actions. I just don't take joy in any of Nina's, you know.
Yeah.
And it's interesting dynamic because yes, of what you said, she still hasn't she still hasn't really suffered in my mind, and I don't really see her being sorry,
Right.
you know, to the like she'll be like, "Oh my god, I got caught and I'm sorry," but you're only sorry that people are upset at you. You're not
Hmm.
sorry for what you did.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you have no regret for what you did.
Hmm.
Like even when she went and confronted, or she confessed to Carly and Drew, she was still blaming them.
Yeah, it
Like,
was so
you
weird.
committed this crime. You took my daughter away from me. You did this. You did that. And it's such a self righteous matter. Why would people even think you're sorry? Because you're not. And the funny thing is that during a time where we were off, Ava said the same thing to her. She said something about when you apologize, you expect forgiveness, and sometimes it's not going to happen
Hmm.
because what you've done is really horrible. I think I don't remember if she actually alluded to what Nina did with Avery, but she was just saying sometimes the stuff that you do is just really bad. and you expect people to forgive you. It was like an offhand comment because she was having with Nina in Sunny's living room, and Sunny was talking to somebody else, and they were
Mm-hmm.
having these little side conversations, and but it was like totally on point. She was like, "Yeah, I mean, we're friends, but sometimes the stuff you do is just really bad,
Mm-hmm.
you know." And I was like,
Yeah.
"Yep."
Yeah.
And so, but and you know, and so I can now respect Ava's friendship with Nina because she knows who Nina is
Mm-hmm.
and knows like how horrible Nina can be, and she's able to get over it. But she's not like she's blindly not seeing Nina, you know, because
Right.
she does see her
Mm-hmm.
and is able to forgive and forget. But sometimes these fans act like they don't see Nina.
Yeah. I mean, oof,
Yeah.
I have so much to say about that.
Yeah.
I because I also think that there is something about and part of what I've seen in general with Nina, not only with her
Hmm.
fans, but even with Cynthia as an actress and the way she plays Nina, which is like I talked about it. I was on a Spaces, I think Friday night because I was able to get
Hmm.
on. Britt, friend of the show, does Spaces every week, I
Hmm.
think. But I was
Hmm.
able to get on and I was like, the part I think that Nina, me as a person, Tracy, I think that character triggers me because of everything that you said. It's the
Right.
lack of being sorry, but the gaslighting and saying that you apologized.
Yeah.
It's like her being like, I felt bad the whole time. Girl, we watched this whole show every day. You ain't never felt bad. You
Right.
felt like you might get caught, but you ain't felt bad about what you did. Like,
Hmm.
this is not what happened. And so
Well,
I
you know
think,
what? I think they
go ahead.
attempted to have that happen when she was in the confessional.
Mm,
Unfortunately, she was confessing to the wrong person. So she wasn't able to actually experience sorrow and regret for very long because then it became about, oh my God, I have to apologize because Cyrus is holding this information against me.
right, but I'm saying that I'm talking
Yeah.
about the whole time.
Yeah. The
It's
whole
been
time.
more
Yeah.
about like people have gotten hurt in the fallout, and I don't
Hmm.
blame her for everything. Whatever. Like I think that that goes too far to be like it was your fault that this happened, that happened. Like that's not always true.
Hmm.
But there's so much that happened in the fallout that she doesn't feel bad for. You're more concerned about getting caught than all these people that you hurt along the way.
Hmm.
And so I was really put off. And this is not this. I don't want this to come off as like talking bad about like an actress. It's not that. But I was really put off yesterday because Cynthia Watros had tweeted out this link to a song from Waitress the musical. Now I love Waitress the musical, like love, love, love Waitress the musical. And so she tweeted out the song, She Used to Be Mine. And it was like afterwards, like was like Nina Hart, and people were like talking about how Nina was similar to this character. And I was like, no. And the fact that you think that gives me so much insight into how you play this character. Because we have talked about this before with like a Nicolas Chavez, for example, who was like really clear that like when Spencer was in the wrong,
Hmm.
he'd be like, "I'm rooting for you, dude, but like this is wild." Like I've seen him talk about this,
Yeah.
or like a Laura Wright who kind of doesn't care whether or not her character is liked. Like
Hmm.
she just plays it, and that's it. And so like if you like it, you like it, and if you don't, you don't. Carly's kind of unapologetic,
Hmm.
um, and so much of what Nina is written on the page to be is not a heroine. It's like an anti-hero. But her like Cynthia as her portrayer wants people to root for her. And I
Hmm.
think about like the difference between like a Maura West when she played Ava. There were times I think that when you know your character is wrong, you are able to tap into a thing that makes them more rootable than when you play your character as being right. So, like this character in Waitress straight up was like the song that she tweeted about was about a woman in a controlling and abusive marriage who's like desperately trying to find her way out of being like gaslit. Her husband like stole her money. She ended up having an affair with her doctor. She was pregnant. So like she was in the wrong, but not in the same way that Nina was. You know what I'm saying? And so like the fact that you would like that she connected that song to her character, I was like, Oh, you really truly do believe that your character is right. And you also don't understand, well, I don't know about her, but people like who constantly are like throwing up this idea that like Carly and Drew committed a crime really don't understand why there is fallout. It is not that committing a crime is or like snitching is worse than the crime. It is that the people that you snitch on are going to see it that way.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that you snitch on are the people who are on every day. And the people that you snitched on are the people who like are also like part of your extended family that you have every time you feel slighted, you do something impulsive. Whether
Mm-hmm.
and that's even Cynthia's portrayal of Nina. You finally got to see Wiley. What you do? Tell him Nell was his mama, or like that Willow wasn't his mama.
Right.
Get back from like it was wild.
Yeah.
You find out Willow has cancer, and then you storm over to their house to like yell at them about how they don't care enough about Wiley. You show up in the middle of the night to Carly's house because Sonny told you probably should go apologize, even though you named that it was the middle of the night. And
Right,
then you
right.
didn't even apologize. You just went over to her house with some bullshit. Girl, that was something you could have did in the morning
Right.
when everybody was woke. How dare you? Imagine your door ringing at 4 o'clock in the morning and somebody like, yeah, I snitched on you, but you did commit a crime though. What?
Yeah.
What are you doing? It's just like so I think that disconnect of like why what she did was a problem, not
Mm-hmm.
necessarily even bad, but why what she did is a problem for the characters that she is in connection with, is like so frustrating to me.
She's special. That is a special character. I can't think of any other way to say it. Is that she's special.
it it just I don't know, it's just like I feel like I just have to rant about it because for me it's so frustrating. I'm just
Mm,
like what is the disconnect here? um and the disconnect is like she's like this is an anti-hero, and that eventually maybe she can make her way back to being a heroine. People have been on the wrong side of Carson, Ava for example, and then
yeah.
made their way to be like
Now she's
a
living with
beloved complicated, right?
him.
Now she's a bottom
Living
baby
with him.
mama.
Great. So she's a one of Sunny's ladies, blonde ladies. It doesn't matter.
So these better blondes.
Yeah. So
Because
I would.
imagine you're Nina and you come home and Ava's like, you probably shouldn't be here. What?
Like, why are you here? Who are you? It's just, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. If you look at it from outsider's point of view, just being around Sunny and being one of Sunny's women is just crazy.
Yikes.
It's just one of the three women under his protection.
Yikes.
Um, Another aspect which I kind of glossed over, but I kind of want to talk about is Cyrus.
Please. Oh God, I loved it.
First of all, for him to be just be like there and be like, ooh, now I know this secret. And he goes into a confessional. It's just like, and like blackmailing, but not blackmailing Nina. Like, you need to tell the secret. And I'm just gonna be here until you do. Like, he didn't actually really threaten her, but he threatened her.
Yeah.
I was just like, that is so amazing. And then to go and taunt Sunny, purposely taunt Sunny into a reaction, get his ass beat, just causing all kinds of drama. And that's exactly why he wants to do it, is to be undermine Laura's relationship with Sunny.
Yep.
And he did it. And it's such an innocuous but really smart way.
Mm-hmm.
Cyrus is another special character, but he's super amazing.
When Sonny punched him and he started talking about turning the other cheek, and then Sonny
I'm
punched
gonna
him in the
turn
other
that.
cheek.
I was like, And he knew that was gonna piss him off. He knew everything that he said was gonna piss Sunny off, and it did.
Mhm.
Like Sunny is so predictable at this point. He can be played. He thinks that he's like this big important mobster king, but Sunny's got his number and is playing it and playing
Sonny,
him like a fiddle.
Sonny pummeling that man half to death was what, Sonny?
Was like wild and predictable, and I didn't feel sorry for Cyrus, but at the same time, I was like, that must have hurt. He almost died, but it didn't matter because he got what he wanted. And now Laura's going to be looking at Sunny sideways.
Hmm. And wait, what did you think about the line from Nina when she said to Sunny, like, "Oh, that's why you want me to go to Carly's house because you
Oh,
love me too
God.
much." I was like, I mean, she do got you right there, Sunny.
Yes.
She did eat that one little
You,
thing.
and that was right. She knew that Sunny was going to forgive her eventually.
She ate that one little thing, and when
That one,
Sunny
yeah.
and when Sunny told Michael, like, well, I this would never. I'm like, Sunny, you went over Michael's house when Willow was sick and threatened him because he wouldn't let Nina see Willow. So why
Right.
would Michael think that y'all was in a good place and had a good enough relationship that it could survive this? That don't even make sense.
Yeah. I was there. I like on Monday. I was like, why is Sunny more mad about the secret being kept from him, and he doesn't even know who they're talking about? Like
Right.
Michael didn't say until the end of the episode on Monday who it was, but Sunny was pissed at the idea of the secret in of itself.
Mm-hmm.
In my mind, I was
Yeah.
like, who was it? Who was it? Who was it? But he was like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? And I was just like, dude, who cares why Michael didn't tell you? You need to know this. And so, yeah, that was interesting, I think. And
Uh,
yeah.
yeah. I also wonder if it's foreshadowing for when the deck secret comes out.
Oh,
Because I don't know
yeah.
if I said this on the show the last time we recorded, but the thing about the deck secret that I find to be so fascinating is that if you haven't watched the show in a while and you just kind of drop in, you wouldn't know that Dex was a plant because
Right.
they don't talk about it. He
They don't
hasn't
talk
met with
about it
Sunny. He
anymore.
hasn't met
Yeah.
with Carly. So I'm
Yeah.
guessing that'll come back in a very unnatural way. But I am wondering, like, if this was like some foreshadowing for
Hmm.
Dex, because also Willow knows that secret.
Yeah.
So what does that look like, and what does that mean?
Yeah. And will Willow be the one to tell it? Is she that pissed off at Michael now?
Or will they be talking about it
Right.
and like somebody come up on and hear them talking about it?
Yeah.
Like, her just
Or
being mad and being like, well, this is how you do anyway. This is like when you hired Dex to try to take your dad down. And then
yeah.
all of a sudden somebody walks up like, you did what?
And who would know that? And who would be the person to walk up on it?
Nina.
Cyrus.
Oh, sorry.
So,
Ah.
Cyrus just destroying Sunny's family left and right.
I watched that scene with him talking to him so many times when he was just like, lay your burdens down, Sonny. Like, get out of here, you troll.
You know when they had that preview and Sonny's like, this is not the time to test me. And I was just like wondering, who is it that's testing
Oh,
Sunny?
I knew
Who is
exactly
it
who it
going to be?
was.
No, I didn't. And so when it came out to be Cyrus, in my mind, I had, oh no, not this. You know, I can't say the word, but I was thinking it. I was like, this dude.
Yep. Yep.
And I was like, he about to get his ass beat. So, because I was just like, who got him so mad? Be like, don't be testing me. I'm like, is he yelling at Dex like that? So, but yep.
Hmm.
Woo, so
I
much to
knew
talk
it.
about.
Mm-mm.
That was
So
a lot.
what's not working for you?
Oh, this happened to be a Christmas episode, and obviously, the only thing that never works for me anytime is Cody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let's think a story about Cody that didn't work for me, but kind
Mm-hmm.
of did. It was a little cathartic. Was Spinelli kicking Cody out of the house? Now, even though I enjoyed Spinelli going off on Cody, Spinelli was kind of wrong to do that because it
Smelly
was
can't do no wrong for
it
me.
was it was Christmas. Don't be kicking somebody else. Don't be kicking somebody out of somebody else's house on Christmas. I thought that was a little wrong, but I enjoyed every minute of it. So I was like, oh, Spinelli, why you do that? But yeah, thank you,
That's
Spinelli,
funny.
for doing it. But I don't know. For the past 2 weeks there, well, I guess also Nancy LeGrand.
Oh,
I mean, Chase, because she kept getting on my nerves about this whole jumping out of the airplane thing. I was like, dude, if you don't want to do it, just say no. She was kicking and screaming the whole time. And it was a little predictable that she does, yes, get eventually on the plane. And then when they come down and Chase or Gregory ends up kissing her, I was like, I was like, I didn't like
if
it.
you're not watching, if you're just listening, we both gave thumbs down.
Yeah. And some
Absolutely
people
not.
were and some people were happy about it. And I was like,
I was not.
I was not. If Gregory, like, he's a character I could care way, way, way less about. But if he was going to get together with somebody, I would have been like, Tracy and him might be interesting. Um, but I don't know if that's even going to happen. I don't care. Like, unfortunately, and I can see why you're so upset that they gave him ALS, because that is a serious disease, and because of who has it, no one cares about it, and that's sad. Because I don't care. I don't care if I'm sorry, I really
Because I don't care.
don't. I really
I don't
don't.
care.
I don't care if he gets sick, if he passes away. I don't. I really don't.
Bye.
And the funny thing is, during the 60th anniversary, no, it wasn't during the 60th anniversary. There was a little video clip that was going around with the cast, like who should be in a relationship.
Oh
And
yeah.
Nancy LeGrand was on there, and she's like, I would like to be in a relationship with someone that doesn't die, who I haven't killed, or who doesn't get killed because of me, or something like that. I just, and I was like, that's very true. You've been with a lot of people that have died.
I loved when Becky Hurts like looked like she was trying not to say herself.
Right?
Are they like racing
Yes.
motorcycles outside your I was
Yes,
like,
they
what's going
are.
on? This is
But
y'all get the sounds of Oakland for free when you
for
listen to our
free.
podcast.
Yes. But yeah, that was funny. Everyone's trying to say who should be in a relationship or not. That was funny between Maurice and Laura too, because they were looking at each other like, hmm?
That was
And she was like, whatever.
yikes.
She was like, whatever to you too, Maurice.
Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes.
Yeah.
That's really funny. Speaking of that, so aggro Drew doesn't work for me. It just really
Yeah.
didn't. So I'll say part of what doesn't work for me is Drew has been through so much. So to like pretend as if Pentonville is the thing that changed him when he was like locked up in a dungeon on Cassadine Island and then shot off a bridge. And it like it just was like it doesn't hold true to me. And it also doesn't hold true because we have heard about it more than we've seen it. So
Hmm.
Sonny like then said it, and then all of a sudden it shows up in him putting his daughter in a different school. Like what? Who cares? I couldn't even believe that that was like the drama for Sam. Get my girl something to do for real, not to be like in co-parenting beef. This
Hmm.
is not what my Samantha deserves. My Samantha deserves a real ass story. Like, get her something to do.
Hmm.
Um, oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Oh,
You finish.
I also like it just doesn't hold true. I know that you said I actually don't find it to be super believable when Cameron's mad. And I think that I think that what I am seeing is the same thing I saw with Chase that I didn't like. That like these are puppy dog men and let them be these puppy dog men. And I do think that there is something very boring about Drew, which has made Crew, even though I like Crew, to be a little bit boring. I think that they made a lot of mistakes around having Drew be so wrapped up in Carly. I actually don't subscribe to it being Nina's fault that Drew went to jail. Nobody told Drew to take that shit from Carly. Um, I think, Nina and her snitching actually was hinged upon Carly being loyal because she didn't think long term. Like Carly could have turned Sunny in and she didn't. But yeah, nobody told Drew to do that. Um, so like I don't see it. I can see how people who are involved will feel like Drew or like Nina did this thing, but I wish it would have been written differently because the Drew falling on the sword was Drew's fault, not Nina's. Um, and I just overall think that they have made a lot of mistakes with this character. It's even like, and I joke about this too, like calling him a deadbeat dad for Scout. I don't actually think that's true, but we just never see him with Scout. Or we don't even hear like, oh, I just dropped her. Like those things matter to be like, oh, I just dropped Scout off, or oh, I just did this. We have him like showing up anytime he gets back in town, like popping up at Carly's house and not popping up at Scout's. Like those like little things, they tried so hard to make him like a new Jason for Carly, and now Jason's coming back. But like they tried to make him like the new Jason for Carly, and the like, I got your back. I'm gonna, be a part of your schemes. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna forgive you for everything. Um, that it was actually as a detriment to his character. I thought he was interesting when he was like with Finola and with Dom, and they were doing like adventuring. I thought he was a good scene partner to Finola. I think that the other part of it is Carly is such a present character. She actually needs a stronger scene partner because Cameron is the kind of he's very like he's a game show host in a good way, but he's a game show host, and so he kind of yields to his scene partner. And with Carly being a person who's so forward in the show, like that works when you're with Finola because we never get enough of her. Um, but we do get a lot of Carly, and so having him be a scene partner that kind of like gives to her in the way that he does actually makes their relationship feel really imbalanced. So agro Drew, I'm not interested in it. I did laugh at everything he said to Nina. I didn't like the whole if I was a man, I just felt like that was like, sit down, Drew. It that didn't work for me. And like I said, the what school is Scout gonna go to drama felt really flat for me as well.
Now, I don't necessarily, it's not that I find Drew's anger believable.
Uh,
It's more of the anger I felt was hot because it was Cameron Matheson being mad.
yeah, for sure.
Not necessarily Drew being
Hmm.
angry. And so I agree. I think his all of a sudden being aggro is a little sudden and in my mind because of my theory, kind of convenient. Here's
Hmm.
my theory.
Tell me, I need to hear it.
Now, I actually, or at least me, let me stop speaking for people. I loved Billy Miller
Yes,
as Jason Drew
yes.
until Jason came back. And then
Mm.
Drew became annoying to me. And I kind
Oh,
of feel like the writers made him that way because they were catering to Steve Burton.
yes.
And I kind of feel they're doing the same thing now to Cameron Matheson, making him unlikable because Jason is
She's coming
coming
back.
back. That's why I feel that's happening. Now,
Mm.
and it's only like hot to me that Cameron Matheson is angry and mad, but I don't like it. I don't like Drew doing it, and
Hmm.
that's making me not like Drew. And I think that's the reason why, is because they're priming people for Jason's return. Um,
Yeah. Oof.
which is unfortunate for Ryan or for Cameron Matheson, but Cameron Matheson's got a lot going on now. Like he's doing
Hmm.
all these movies and he's doing, he's got some issues with his health and all the other stuff. So I don't think Cameron Matheson really is like going to be like heartbroken, but and he might know what's going on, so he might be used to the idea. Um, but I felt bad for Billy Miller because I love Billy Miller as an actor, and
Yeah,
so
I mean, absolutely.
and I
Absolutely.
didn't. Yeah, I felt like he actually did a great job. I would have loved to see him be on the show longer, but the
Yeah.
writers made him a little bit unlikable and more boring when Steve Burton came back.
I didn't like the way the story played out.
Hmm.
Um, I didn't like that Carson just automatically like they just like threw him away.
They
I
threw him
hated
under the
that.
bus. It was horrible.
Um,
Yeah.
I yeah, and I think that I do think that for Cameron's version of Drew, which is different, is that I think that when Jason comes back, I mean, depending on how they fare with Carly, I
Hmm.
think that when Jason comes back, he will want to have a relationship with him.
Hmm.
And so that's also different because I just thought the way they wrote Steve Burton's return was so weird. Like that they
Hmm.
made, even though Billy like sold agro a whole lot better, it
Hmm.
was like he was so hostile to him.
Right.
And I felt like, I mean, I get some of the hostility, but it was like Billy's Drew was so hostile when Steve Burton's Jason was so like, whatever.
Yeah, he was
And it,
chill and
yeah,
forgiving and just like, yeah, Sam, take your time. Everybody
yeah,
else, and he was just like
yeah.
angry.
I didn't care for that. I wasn't annoyed with him the whole time. I
Hmm.
actually liked the stuff with Oscar. I liked him having
Hmm.
that. I hated the stuff with Kim.
Hmm.
Um, so like there was a point in which I started enjoying him again as whatever they were doing with Drew.
Hmm.
But yeah, I do agree that when Steve first came back, it was just very poorly handled all the way. Like it was poorly handled.
Hmm.
Um I'm also just like not interested with Steve coming back, and I guess we can transition to that. I don't want Carly to like dismiss Drew again. I just feel like
Right.
that makes my girl look flaky and messed up. We've already had a situation where Carly only got with somebody because they reminded her of Jason. That was the Franco story.
Hmm.
And I would like her to be back. I mean, of course, be conflicted, but I don't want Charlie.
Hmm.
That's not a ship I like. I like Charlie as I like their toxic ass friendship.
Yeah.
But I actually am not a fan of their coupling.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, whew, Steve coming back throws such a wrench in things. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
Oh yeah. I don't. I did. I think what's naturally is going to happen is that they're going to explore Charlie because it was kind of like left off, um, because of Sunny being back, and now that Sunny's clearly with Nina, Carly has no intention of getting back with Sunny. As soon
Right.
as Jason comes back in the scene, I think it's going to happen that they're going to either explore it or talk about it, or she's going to long for him again. Whether or not it happens long term, I don't know. But I think in the beginning, it's going to be explored in some sort of way.
Yeah.
But I'm also, here's my weird theory about Jason. Um, now, like when Nicholas came back, that's something else we got to talk about. Nicholas coming back, right?
Hmm.
So Nicholas comes back. He's having a scene with Ava, and Ava's like, "You're the one who put the gun in, and you left me notes." And he's like, "No, I didn't. I didn't do any of that." And then all of a sudden, you hear Jason is coming back, and then I'm like, "What if it was Jason?" Because Jason and Ava had an interesting dynamic
Yeah.
until he
The
got
last time
his
we had it.
memory. Yeah, until he got his memories back and he realized that, yeah, she killed off Morgan, but they still had.
It wasn't his memories back. He was gone for her killing off Morgan.
Oh
Or
yeah,
not
he was
killing
gone.
Morgan,
Okay,
but
so
the part she played in it, yeah.
yeah, So until he found that out, he was like, kind of buddy buddy with her, kind of had a little bit of a friendship with her, and they were kind of partners. What if, he's pissed because nobody looked for him or whatever? Maybe they did or didn't. And he's like seeing Ava from the outside in having some interesting stuff happen. Maybe he's the one that's kind of either messing with her or trying to help her in some way. I don't know, but I just thought, what if it was Jason that's doing all this stuff to Ava?
Mm,
Like he might feel a little protective of her, and really, I think he and Austin, either he and Austin didn't meet, or he really did not like Austin. I think it was he did not like Austin. And so if he didn't like Austin and Ava and Austin were messing with each other, and then he found out that Austin was playing Ava, I can totally see Jason killing him.
yeah, now you're making me think, did
Because I feel like Jason and Austin
Austin,
interacted and he did not like Austin. Yeah, I think
I
he
can't
was like
remember.
Austin was trying to buddy up with Jason, and Jason wouldn't give him the time of day, or just didn't like want to talk with him at all.
I can't remember. But yeah, I believe
Yeah.
you.
And so I could totally see Jason wanting to kill Austin if he found out what Austin did to Ava.
Yeah, I mean, it's very interesting. I think that it's hard to know, and
Mm-hmm.
it's always hard for me to speculate because I'm like, do the writers even know yet? I was
Right.
listening to Steve's podcast with Bradford
Mm-hmm.
Spinelli, and he had said he hadn't started
Started.
filming
Yeah.
yet.
But it
Um,
would be an interesting thing for me. Of course, yeah, you're right. I don't. Maybe the writers hadn't thought about it, but maybe they are thinking about it. Maybe they're watching this podcast,
there
or
you
they'll
go.
watch it today, and they'll be like, "Yes,
You
Tanya,
know
that's a
what? That's
great
right.
idea."
We should do that. Yeah.
um, but yeah, but all that's one storyline that he could be in the middle of. There's whole other storylines that he could be in the middle of that's going on. Whether maybe he, him being in town gets Elizabeth away from Finn finally. Maybe he also has his son who's growing up and going around with Charlotte. He'll have some feelings about maybe his son being enmeshed and involved with the Cassadines. All kinds of things that make him coming back into town interesting. Um, so it'll be interesting. Again, like I said, we feel some kind of way about Steve Burton as a personality, as a person. But
Yeah.
I think Jason coming back in town is going to shake things up a bit.
Yeah, I don't want it. I mean, I understood like the last time because they had because the other thing I think that people forget, or maybe they don't, is how much time and effort they put into like the recast of Jason with Billy.
Mm-hmm.
Like it was a long time.
Right.
Like we knew he was Jason, nobody else knew. That went on for like a very long time. And then
Yeah.
finally he was like, they reinvested back in Jason. So
Mm-hmm.
like there was a very, very long time and a lot of work that was put into that recast. And so it made sense that it had to be a lot of work put into like reintroducing Steve's Jason.
Mm-hmm.
This time I don't think we need to do that, and I hope that we don't. Like
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to see us have to spend a whole lot of time bringing him back to the canvas. Let's just do it.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. And then the other thing is I really like Sante.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Oh
did not
yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, Sante and that whole thing.
yeah, I really like Sante. I
Mm-hmm.
did not like the last version. I'm an OG J Sammer. Like I
Mm-hmm.
was a J Sammer from the minute the two of these characters met when she was still dealing with Sunny. Um, I I did not like their last time around.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't like the story they told the last time they were around. I didn't like their chemistry the last time around. And I do really like what Sante is building as a family. I do want for Kelly to get more screen time and for Sam to have more to do within that family unit. But I don't want just some kind of like I don't want that broken up. I also, have a long time grudge against Liz and Jason, so I don't want them together. And I don't want him with Charlie. I don't want him with Carly. It's such a conundrum.
Yeah, and so who should he get with then?
I don't know. No one. Sunny.
I mean, Sunny, obviously, that's another thing that we have to contend with is
Yeah.
the whole Jason Sunny Dex thing. Um, and then Sunny actually really working on his business because I kind of feel like his business is kind of faltering now, even with Dex in it. Like he doesn't have someone that can critically think through things with. He's
Right.
now thinking through things on his own or with Breck, who's only here every once in a while.
Right.
So Sunny needs a business partner.
Mm.
And yeah. Or here's the other thing. Maybe, having half of a K fall on his head brings back Jason Quartermain.
I've heard that as a theory as well.
Yeah. So there's a lot to do. And I don't know if you picked it up when you were listening to. I actually watched the podcast too, or the interview
Hmm.
with
Stephen Bradford.
Stephen Bradford.
Hmm.
He made it sound like Jason is actually a not forever character on GH. He made it sound like Jason has a limited amount of time and he has a limited amount of time being an actor and
Hmm.
acting out Jason. So he felt like he needed to finish that character.
Yeah, he
So
said he wanted to finish his career. I
his
mean, it makes
career and that,
sense.
yeah.
It makes sense to me. I don't think they're gonna when they introduce Jason back. I don't think they're gonna be writing to end him. I think
Right.
they're gonna try to beg him to stay around for as long as they can extend that character out. And my thought is whenever he leaves again, it's just gonna be Jason riding his motorcycle into the sunset or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
Kind of like
you
they did
can't.
Luke.
Yeah, you can't just be
Yeah.
killing this character again. I don't know.
Yeah.
Uh, it's too much. It's too much. And plus, like his kids are now old enough that he
Hmm.
can kind of leave the canvas without feeling like a complete deadbeat, like Lucky.
Right.
So yeah, he kind of was like, I got 2, 3, 4 years maybe
There's
left of
left
this
in me.
character.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but I do think they're gonna beg him to stay, for longer,
Hmm.
or for as long as the show goes on. People, for whatever reason, really love that character. I was also saying that I hope that his return doesn't, because one of the things that when he left, it opened up for was like adventure women. So we got Anna and
Hmm.
Felicia, and like people like even Finola had said she thought that she was surprised that the Peter killing or Peter death went down the way it was because she thought it was going to be Jason.
Hmm.
So yeah, I hope that with the return of Jason, we don't lose that. We don't lose the
Hmm.
adventure women.
Hmm. But yeah, and then the whole Cyrus thing, like I'm saying, like I feel like Sonny isn't on his game as much anymore because Cyrus is playing him like
No.
a fiddle. And so Jason coming back in town may be like, look, this is enough, Cyrus. I had enough of you.
Yeah, for
Jason wouldn't
sure.
Jason wouldn't fall for that crap.
For sure, for sure, for sure.
So there's that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, I
Um,
felt like that was a lot. I don't even know if we covered
I
everything.
know it was so much. Okay, let's get into some of the previews for what's in store. So Soap Central, or Soap Digest, Soap Opera Digest, sorry, the virtual put up an exclusive preview of what's in store for 2024.
Okay.
And so I'll read each header and then we can react. So first was Bobby's passing. So many characters had a special bond with Bobby, and Jackie Zeman had a special bond with everyone in the cast as well. So the town learns of Bobby's passing. Eventually, they will come together for her memorial and share their memories and honor the legacy of not only the iconic character of Bobby Spencer, but also the iconic performer that is Jackie. They'll be commemorating her in two special episodes that will not only be Bobby's memorial, but a special story that will be telling when a surprise visitor comes to visit, attends the funeral, and raises some questions about Bobby's past and present and Port Charles' future. Now, I don't know if this is going to be Lucas, but we do know that Ryan Carnes, who was like the longest running Lucas, will be coming back for
Hmm.
this memorial.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting, like who it could possibly be.
Yeah.
I
Some,
mean,
Yeah.
The only thing that I could like would truly surprise me is if it was Tony Geary.
Um, yeah.
Whether or not, him coming back as Luke or just him being a special guest during a special episode or playing another character altogether.
Hmm.
But I can see that's the only reason why I can see him coming back to GH is to honor Jackie Zeman.
Yeah.
Um, but that would be truly surprising for me. And it would be an interesting welcome.
Yeah.
I don't know if I want Luke back, but I think Anthony Geary doing something would be interesting to me.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
could also see it being Noah Drake.
Yes. Yeah, because he came back for that 60th anniversary. So
And he's been pretty vocal about like loving Jackie and all of that. So
yeah.
I'd be interested. Sunny and Nina, after months of living on the edge and enjoying the benefits of looking seemingly to have taken the high road, Nina's actions are coming back to bite her in the ass. I love that that's what it says, both in
Hmm.
terms of her relationship with Sunny and her relationship with the whole town of Port Charles, particularly those who are going to come after her for what she's done. When it comes to her suddenly shaky marriage, quote, Nina's not going to give up. She's far too in love and far too committed to her marriage to Sunny and her love for him. And Sunny will find it difficult to simply let go. He'll have a number of conflicting impulses, among them his still present feelings for Nina, um, which we pitted against his longstanding history and friendships. Um, on the friendship front, Cyrus's role in the upheaval for Nina and Sunny will have reverberations for the long-standing friendship between Sunny and Laura. Meanwhile, as the year goes on, the mystery surrounding Curtis's shooting, Austin's murder, and the threat to Sunny will deepen and perhaps coalesce.
Hmm. Hmm.
Ava and Nicholas for her own protection. Ava and Sunny are forced to share a home together. They have an extremely complicated relationship to begin with. They do not trust each other. But now that there's an uneasy alliance, we will see a different spin on the two's dynamic. As for her far from dead ex, there's a big reckoning to be had between Ava and Nicholas surrounding the circumstances of his departure, to put it mildly, last year. Um, Nicholas' comeback has ripple effects everywhere on the canvas. Then it says Nicholas' return to his family will light a spark that will cause the Webbers and the Cassidines and the Ashfords to explode.
Ooh.
Yeah, I
I'm
mean, we,
real. Yeah, I think it's gonna be really. Here's the thing, and we didn't really talk about this, but I kind of felt like Nicholas coming back was a little anticlimactic, and um and again, it made me really feel sad for the loss of Tyler Christopher because I really, really wanted to see him and Nicholas Chavez go toe to toe together.
yeah,
Um, Even though Adam Huss is the best Nicholas, that's not Nicholas, not Tyler. Um, it was still like just kind of anticlimactic. But I'm looking forward to the scenes when Spencer sees his dad
yeah. Well, we do have, we didn't talk about it, but Sabrina did talk about going to
away.
Paris
Yeah.
together. I think that's going to be upcoming in this preview. Um,
But
yeah,
hopefully, Nicholas comes out of hiding before they go off to Paris. Because it sounds
right.
like the Paris thing was a summer
And I'm
fellowship
also,
or a year long fellow. I don't know.
yeah, and I'm also hoping, we know that Nicholas Chavez is going to film his show, so I am interested to see like what that means for like Tabiana's screen time,
Mm-hmm.
and her storyline. I think that what like the disappearing of Taggart has been so bizarre and so poorly handled, and
Mm-hmm.
that would give Trina some story without Spencer while
Right.
Nicholas is gone. Um,
Yeah.
so I just really hate that we don't have that.
Yeah. I hate it too. But
Um, Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm just like wondering if having Steve Burton come back contributes to the thinning of the herd or of people who we want back not coming back.
But one other thing I was thinking about for Jason that could be interesting is
Yeah.
if Helena was holding him.
Helena or not Helena.
Yeah.
And
Because
then
I
what
think we
does
can
that
get
mean?
Constance. I think we can get Constance back for like a very short stick.
And if it would be lovely, it would be even more interesting if Charlotte saw Helena
Yeah,
and Helena continued on with the Helenification of Charlotte.
there we go.
That
I
would be
love
awesome.
it.
That would be awesome.
I love it.
Hmm.
Carly and Drew. When Carly and Drew learn the truth about who turned them into the SEC, interesting enough, their paths end up diverging. Carly and Drew want to handle the fallout of Nina in very different ways. While they are committed to each other and want to make things work, their conflicting ideas of what comes next is not going to be easy for them. My guess is that Carly's gonna want to let it go, and Drew's gonna want to go hard on her.
Oh yeah, you think Carly is gonna let it go?
Mhm.
Mm.
Or at least just be like, I don't need to like come for her. Like whatever happens with her is like with her relationships, her whatever. These like this is Wiley and Amelia's grandmother. Like I think they're gonna try to have Carly take the high road.
Either that or not care because she's so traumatized about the loss of her mom and what that means
Yeah,
for her in her life.
yeah,
Um, that would be the only reason why I think Carly wouldn't go for revenge.
right.
Um, so yeah, that would be an interesting dynamic. But again, it's all part of the plan to bring back
Yeah.
Jason.
Michael and Willow, with the truth of the SEC tip out, Willow feels betrayed by Michael's lies. And not only has he known for quite some time, but he leveraged it to sabotage Willow's relationship with Nina. Willow obviously has issues with Nina at the moment, but what she really doesn't appreciate is Michael unilaterally making decisions for her and for keeping something this big from her. And unfortunately, it's one of a series. Michael and Willow have been taking turns keeping things from each other, and maybe it's one lie too many at this point. So, is there a path towards forgiveness, or is this the end of them? The revelation of Michael's duplicity will have blowback from all corners. I think Carly's going to be mad at him and Johnson's going to be mad at him about keeping the truth. Laura has a big presence to play going forward. Events in the next 2 months of the year will force Laura to have a reckoning with several members of her family. She will struggle to keep her family and her city together as both are rocked by huge events. God, there's so much. Okay. And then Valentine have had a rough couple of years, but you can only go up from where she is. And of course, of the new year, she'll take steps to assume her role as one of the leading heroines of Port Charles. I know that's right. The dynamic between Valentine and Anna right now is extremely complicated, but right now, both Valentine and Nina are in desperate needs of allies, and the two of them seek comfort and advice in each other. Ugh. And everybody knows nothing too genuine and pure can come out of Valentine and Nina scheming together again. The problem with these two is that their worst impulses may feed each other's worst impulses when you put them together.
Uh-oh.
And that's again my thing with Nina. She is never completely isolated from people. She got Sasha. I'm interested to see where Curtis is gonna land. Because I think Curtis might end
I'm
up
not
feeling,
interested in what Curtis is
oh,
gonna do. Curtis is gonna do Captain Save a white woman
true.
again, and I'm not interested in.
But that's so funny. I wasn't ready to play that. Oh god. Okay. You are correct. Um Trina, Esme, and Spencer get this girl out of their story. Trina and Spencer are looking forward to beginning a new adventure in 2024. Everything looks bright for this couple, but there's a storm cloud looming quickly on the horizon. Fans of this couple can be on the lookout for a romantic getaway early in the year. As for his troubled and troublemaking ex, Esme's year begins with a huge inward-looking struggle as she tries to make the person she has become fit with the person she once was. which side of Esme ultimately prevails will have deep impact on much of Port Charles in the new year. When Esme went to go visit her mama and was like, I was justified in doing this, I said, get her off my screen.
You know what? And here's where we'll have a disagreement. I like the fact that Esme remembers. I like
Yeah,
Esme. I like Esme evil better than I like her good.
yes.
So, um,
Yeah,
I'm
I
here.
agree with
I'm here
that.
for her being evil and
I
conflicted about being evil.
I agree with
And
that.
she reminds me a little bit of Ava in that.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, I don't like her messing with Trina, but I like her being like somewhat sketchy. So
I will say that was really great acting from Avery.
and
Um,
yeah, and Haley
the
Mills.
like what she got with Laura, for example,
Mm-hmm.
and it was like the conflicting parts of her.
Mm-hmm.
Like she does look different.
Yes.
Her demeanor is different now that she remembers.
Yeah,
And I was like,
her mom was like, you look different.
yeah.
You
And
there's something. You did something with your hair, and obviously she did not because her hair's always been the same.
right, right. But like I do feel like that was like some skill because like she did visibly look like her demeanor was actually different for me too. And I do like that about Avery because she is a very technical actress. And those kind of things, like those nuances and stuff, like she does very well in showing.
Yeah, that was
Uh
actually one of my favorite performances as well. Her going to see her mom in prison.
okay. There's too many of these. I'm not gonna read all of this. It's too much. Um Dante and Sam are growing closer. They might have some conflict around raising their teenagers and co-parenting. Um, Gregory and Tracy are starting to grow closer. Um, yeah. Um, the Invader actually gets a new business partner, which is going to be hard for Alexis and Gregory. I wonder if that's going to be Nicholas.
Maybe.
No, 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 no. Nicholas doesn't own any part of the Invader. The Invader was supposed to be Sean's reparations. Never mind. It's supposed to be Sean's reparations, but run by these white people.
Yeah, but who was it that sold to Sean? Wasn't it Nicholas that sold the invader to
Nicholas
Sean?
gave him, I don't know, did he sell it or give him the money? I can't remember.
Yeah.
Maxie and Spinelli have a spoiler, they're growing closer. So do Cody and Sasha.
I read that Cody and Sasha want to get Maxie and Spinelli together, so they're going to be playing Cuban. This is not going to
Which
make me like Cody anymore. I'm
it might
sorry,
make me like
Gage.
Cody.
It's not. I
You
will
know I
be.
love Spixie.
I mean, I would love to see Spixie together, but there is very little that will redeem Cody in my eyes.
Um, Jocelyn and Dex are helping Adam, their kid. When Dex tucked Adam in, and Adam was like, "Thank you, Dex," I cackled.
Ah, if Dex was like, no problem, little buddy, I would have cracked up.
Goodness.
Because I love it when Dex does the little buddy thing to him.
Um, the Sarah story continues with all the ways that we think it is. Christina and Blaze continue. I like Christina and Blaze. Lucy and
Yeah,
Scott is happening. Um, I'm excited to see that. I love when the vets get to play. And those three together, Lynn, Ken, and Jane, I think it's just gonna be a good time.
yeah,
Like it's gonna be funny.
yeah. That
Um,
whole scene where they were talking about um Scotty texting Tracy,
Scotty,
awesome.
get
And
out of here.
there's a line from that scene which I will talk about during my hot takes.
Um, and then Robert and Diane are gonna butt heads over Sunny. So anyway, Soap Central has a whole thing up. I just like read a lot of it. I skipped over a lot because it's pretty long. I think probably because they don't have to be on paper anymore. They can just be as long as they want in the digital form. That it
Oh
went
no,
it
because
went
I
pretty
was
long.
actually I was looking at previews for the other soap, Young and the Restless, and the producers barely gave them nothing. In comparison, it was like a half a page of
Mhm.
spoilers for the year. So I think it was just that producer was feeling very talkative because
Yeah.
Y&R ain't sharing nothing.
Hmm.
They're like, y'all just gonna have to look forward to what we bring in.
Also,
Um,
when we were gone, my fave, my little niece Eden
oh,
won her um daytime Emmy. I was so happy for her. She looked gorgeous. Her
she
speech was
swept.
beautiful. Yes, they swept the acting categories for sure.
Yeah.
Um, I know that there's been so much said about like the age of that category. I think what is interesting is that, I actually wasn't put off by it at all because we've had younger actresses in like other categories. Like when Robin was little, she was in like like that category has always been weird. Like there's always been older people who have won it. Some of people's like daytime faves have won that award before. So it's just we knew it was going to be a funky transition. I hate that the narrative got swept up from Eden in that transition, but I don't think that takes away from how amazing it was that she won. The storyline that she won for was great. And I also think that the age difference is forcing soaps to write for younger characters. So
Mhm.
we have Charlotte and Jake. Aiden, the storyline with him coming out to Liz was beautiful. I thought it
Mhm.
was so well done, so well acted by both of them. Like these are gonna be Emmy real stuff. I know you don't watch Days, but Days is having some really amazing stuff with like some younger actors who I believe are 18 or under. So this change is like now forcing them to write for younger actors, and younger actors are really showing up and showing that they can do this work, and showing why teen scenes have always been really important on daytime soaps, to carry the drama. And so that you need the balance. I do love that daytime is a place where you don't have to be under 20 or under 25 or whatever to play. Like you can have folks who are 40, 50, 60 be sexy and leads and all of that. And that balances out with having those younger actors really show up as well. So I think that the change in the daytime Emmy category, the younger actor category, is forcing these shows to also write for these younger actors.
Yeah, it is unfortunate that Eden got caught up in that, but I also understand because the two younger actors that were nominated, at least the one that was in Bold and the Beautiful, he definitely deserves an Emmy for the work that he's been doing, not just for this year, for the past couple of years.
Hmm.
Um, and I don't know if the actor I'm thinking of in The Young and the Restless was the one that was nominated, but there's also another young actor on The Young and the Restless that's doing some really great work as well. But on the other hand, it is what it is. What you're saying. So I'm not mad that Eden won, but I also do feel like I can feel for the people who were rooting for the other nominees. Um, with that said, yeah, congratulations to GH for all the awards that they did win for acting. Um, Shout out to Hat Daddy for winning.
Yeah.
That was great.
And
Um,
Sonia for
and
possible,
Sonia.
yeah, like that was
Mhm,
amazing. People
mhm.
seemed really like excited for her.
Yeah. So
And Allie Mills.
Allie Mills, yes. Allie
Hmm.
Mills was amazing. So yeah, and it was funny. It's like I forgot Allie Mills was actually on Bold and the Beautiful too, because she
Yeah.
plays like such a like her character is only for comedic relief, and it's like such a throwaway character that I almost forgot that she's the one that's playing her. So yeah, but Allie, yeah, that was amazing.
Hmm.
So
Yeah. I only
yes.
have a couple of hot takes
Do you want
because
to talk about the anniversary show though?
oh, um,
No, not really. No, like I said, like a lot of people felt like it should have been longer, and I agree. I would have appreciated more kind of like behind the scenes stories that happen with John Stamos and um, the character who plays Noah Drake. What's his
Yeah.
name? I like those are the parts that I liked. I like the bloopers and I like the story. That I felt like John Stamos was talking way too long, but I liked,
Way too long.
but I like the fact that he shared like some sort of behind the scene thing, and I wish that we heard that from other people. That's what I wished.
Yeah. I
So yeah,
mean,
it was nice, but it wasn't like the best thing I've seen.
no, I mean, it was
Mhm.
also like for me a surprise, and it wasn't something that like is part of like the everyday. So anything that they like played wouldn't have really disappointed me. I had no expectations. So I really enjoyed it. I saw a lot of people complaining about it. They're like, it should be 2 hours. Like, yeah, but we're lucky we got an hour in prime time. Or it should, like all of these things. Like
Yeah.
this was a whole hour, like after the Golden Bachelor like
Right.
wedding,
Right.
like it was just like a moment to like if what it felt like was the presentation you would give
Hmm.
the network to show why you should still be on air.
Yes,
You know what
that
I
was
mean?
actually true. It was almost like a commercial, like
Yeah.
GH is important. Don't drop us.
Yeah. That's what it
um.
felt like. So I liked, that was fine. And I really like a lot of the behind the scenes content that
Mhm.
they've posted up on the Instagram and the
Okay.
social medias.
Hmm.
I wish actually that would have been a little bit more of the stuff that was on screen, but
Hmm.
I had no expectations of it. I enjoyed it. I had a good time for the hour that it was on.
Hmm.
Um,
The only other thing I would say I would have liked to see more of is there were apparently fans on the set, and I would have liked to have
yeah, that would
seen
have been
like
cute.
a little bit more on that, like who are the fans, how did they get selected, and then actually see them ask questions of the actors and have them be answered. I would have liked to have seen
Yeah, that would have I think having Lynn and Cameron Matheson be the people who were there for
that.
that
Hmm.
was like good because Cameron Matheson always has that game show energy.
Yes, but
So I
complete
mean,
with the text. He
yeah,
looked like he was doing a
yeah.
game show. So
Tara from Port Misery said it was like a very expensive commercial to like announce that Jason was coming back.
right.
Yeah, I mean, like there was a million things that could have been different, but also it could have just not happened at all. So,
Yeah.
I wasn't, too disappointed.
Yeah. It
Yeah,
was great.
that's how I felt. It sounds like more motorcycles are happening. So I can start with my first hot take. I put most of them in everything that we talked about, so I only have like three. My first one was that Lois did nothing wrong. Olivia, you were being dramatic. It was very telenovela of you. I it makes perfect sense that Lois would tell Sunny, her oldest friend, something about what was going on with his girlfriend, or like with his wife. I just feel like sometimes, like I was reading people like Lois should mind her business. Da, 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 da. I'm like, I just feel like I'm a different kind of friend, and I have different kind of friends. If somebody found out my husband was on some mess with my family, they would tell me. And if I find out about my friend, I'm gonna tell them like it is no minding your business when it comes to like your lifelong friends. So I just really didn't feel like it was that Lois was wrong, and they never explained to me why Olivia was so dead set on keeping the secret to make me feel like it was some sort of betrayal.
I agree. I think, yeah, I'm glad it was Lois that told the story. And it made sense that as soon as Lois found out, she would go and tell Sunny. Like
ASAP,
she would not keep that secret.
right?
So yeah, that was great. Um, I have a couple of more. But I have one from the Chris. I have hot takes from the Christmas and some from this week. So from the Christmas week, Lois with the antlers. I loved it, and I wanted one, and I would have worn it
Hmm.
and it was funny how it seemed to go with everybody's outfit. It was like perfect, and so that was fun. Um, Also, love the discussion on public transportation in New York. I loved every single minute of it. It reminded me there's some skit that SNL does of, I guess, a soap opera that only talks about the transportation in Los Angeles. And so it reminded me of that. But they were like, no, you should take this and you should take that. No, that's dangerous. You should take the L and then the blah, blah, blah. I loved every single, because I am a public transportation person. And so when they were talking about the bus, it was amazing. I loved every
That's
single
funny.
minute of it. Um, and again, on to Spinelli. I love how Spinelli is on site for Cody because that's the energy that I have
Mhm.
so much. But it was a little mean on Christmas, but I still loved it. And another funny thing for me was Dante scaring Alexis about skydiving. When they were at Alexis's house for Christmas, Dante comes in a little bit later and Sam tells him that Alexis is going to sign up for skydiving. And everything he said freaked out Alexis so much. I was laughing. It was so funny. So, shout out to Dominic. Fine ass. I hope you
True.
had a Merry Christmas.
Ah, next.
Woo! He looked hot going in and a resting sunny. I was like, you go there, rest
Your
that man.
Dominic, your Dom thirst is really killing me every time. It's so funny.
Anywho, New Year's. Who is this chick helping Ava in the gallery? Where's Trina? I was just like,
What is going on? Who is that?
who is that? I did not appreciate that at all. So yeah. Um, Also, what did I wrote? Tracy. Okay, so during the New Year's scene, and Brooklyn comes in and was like, "You need to have some sort of love affair or whatever," and she was talking about Tracy spending New Year's alone, and Tracy was like, "We do not besmirch the memory of Dick Clark in this house." I was like, "Yes,
Tracy was a key. Okay, she was cracking me up the whole time.
I was like, thank you, ma'am. Respect to Dick Clark. Rest in peace. Um, what else? Yeah, so I think that was pretty much it. It was, yeah, that was the best line I felt that week. Of let's not disrespect Dick Clark's
Mm. Um,
memory.
I laughed about Lucy talking about edibles. I was like, I told you those gummies were edibles.
Because
I
Lucy,
knew it.
right?
I knew
Edibles.
it.
Yes.
She was like, get some wine, get some edibles. I said,
Get them
yes, Lucy.
gummies. Get them gummies. Like,
I I knew it.
no.
It's not just I live in California. I know Lucy wasn't just having random gummies.
Yes, that's what I kept trying to tell you. And you're like, no, I think it's regular. No, it's not. It's gummies. Especially Scott. Scott ain't eating no candy.
No, absolutely not. I loved Ava and Nicholas. They had such a funny back and forth. I really like their rapport. Like, they just looked like they were having fun. And when people
Yeah.
have fun on screen, it like comes off, and I have fun as an audience member. So just
Hmm.
their back and forth was funny to me.
Yeah.
My favorite line of the week: "You said you never lied to me. I knew never was a long time, but you cracked pretty quick."
Sunny.
When Sunny said that, I paused, rewound, played again. Loved it.
Right.
Um, oh, Laura out here being besties with Sunny, but making Esme turn herself in for a B&E?
You gotta,
What?
because when she said, you gotta turn yourself in, I was like, oh, she gotta tell everybody she remember. But no, it was just about that little break in the entry. I was like, girl,
That was silly.
Ava don't even care about that now that Nicholas is back.
No, no. Um, then I laughed because like when Joss and Dex came in for well, fake Joss. I do miss my Eden, but whatever. When fake Joss came in with Dex from New Year's and was talking about her friends, I was like, who are these friends? Just always talking about having all these friends on campus, and we ain't never seen not a friend except for Adam.
Right. Or, I
Okay.
don't know. Is she running? Is she pledging a sorority? No.
Well, I hope not. Yeah.
Okay.
And then okay, so I have a question for you because I don't remember this. Did Chase ever tell Brooklyn about seeing Nina on camera when Ned fell into the water?
No. Did he see her? I don't remember him
He
seeing
saw her
her.
on camera. Like,
Okay.
so yeah, when Ned fell.
Yeah. I don't think he said anything.
Mm. I just couldn't remember.
Okay.
That was my last hot takes.
Okay. Well, next week is going to be juicy.
Next week, let's
Okay.
go. Okay, I'm gonna read this off. Monday, Carly and Elizabeth bond over Bobby's memory. Oh, let me back up and say this. I'm sorry. I do have one more hot take because I got annoyed. So
Uh-oh.
there were people who were like mad that Carly finding out about Bobby like intersected with the SEC stuff because they were like, oh, people are just trying to like create all of this like extra like whatever for Carly, like extra like sympathy. I go back and forth. I don't know if I wish the SEC stuff and Bobby stuff wasn't intersected, but let's also be really clear that they used Epiphany's memory to exonerate Liz from keeping Esme in a tower. They literally had Epiphany, Ghost Epiphany, write a letter that to for Liz to be like, I would have did that too. So this idea that like, oh, they're using Bobby, like, I don't like that. That's stop it. Because stories are always going to happen around these memorials. So if you didn't have a problem with that, I don't believe that you actually have a problem with this.
I mean, it's not like they orchestrated the timing. They didn't. I mean, Jackie's even passed away when she did. There was a strike, so there was a delay. But they wanted to do it as soon as possible. It just happened to be that way. I don't.
Mhm.
People are funny.
Um, Maxie and Felicia support each other over Bobby's death. I'm really excited that Kristen Storm's going to be back for that. I hated that it was like Tip Maxie. From my understanding, COVID like ran through the cast, which is why we had Lindsay Hartley as Sam for that day, which is
Hmm.
why we had Tip Maxie. Um, so I'm glad that Maxie's gonna be back for this. Um, Jocelyn is furious with Michael. Tracy tells Brooklyn about Scott and Lucy's scheme. Lucy and Scott share a charged moment.
Ooh.
Tuesday, Alexis and Gregory discuss their kiss. Marshall and Stella clash. Trina confides in Stella. Sunny seeks out Carly. Laura takes Esme to the PCPD. The 10th, the town of Port Charles or the 10th, which is Wednesday, the town of Port Charles mourns the loss of their beloved friend, Bobby Spencer. Felicia and Carly come together to honor Bobby. Carly is forced to reckon with her family's past and close her mother's unfinished business. Thursday, Carly and Felicia travel to Amsterdam to tend to Bobby's business. Maxie and a reporter sit down with the people of Port Charles to share their memories of Bobby. Carly dedicates a lovely tribute to her mother.
Yeah, so this may be, you're right. This may be why Carly is not willing to waste any time on Nina because she got to worry about her mama.
Yeah. And then Friday, Nicholas shares a moment with Ava. Spencer receives a surprise visitor. Curtis encourages Trina. Dex shows a brave side. Diane and Robert have a disagreement. And that is
Mhm.
next week. And we gonna talk about it.
Thank you for joining us,
Thank you for
Sunday
joining us.
shifters.
We miss y'all. We appreciate y'all. Thank you for joining
Happy
us.
New Year.
Happy New Year. And we will see you next week. Bye.